This time on The Adventures of Tarka, we find the Tunnel of Love amongst the mangroves of Linton Bay. We dodge ships as we sail through Panama Canal's Atlantic entrance. And we meander up a river where we find ourselves deep within pristine wild rainforest. Linton Bay was a necessary stop for us before we head up to the Chagres River, as it gave us an opportunity to reprovision. But it has also proved itself to be a very interesting place to explore as well.
Just make yourself at home on the otter.
There is another small bay and haul-out facility a few miles away where we had a friend keeping his boat, so we decided to try to dinghy over for a visit. We had heard there was a route through the mangroves, but we couldn't find it on our charts, nor could we see it on any satellite photos. So we took the offshore route. Admittedly, it was a bit squirrely for a small dinghy like ours. But fortunately, there wasn't much in the way of swell this day. As we got closer, we decided to save some gas and shorten our trip by letting the wind and waves float us over a reef instead of having to go around it. Once behind the reef, we were in protected water and found our friend's boat pretty quickly. While we were there, our buddy told us where the mangrove passage could be found, and we absolutely had to go and check it out. This time, we found it pretty easily. But it was no wonder we had such a hard time seeing it on our maps. It's completely covered. We aptly called it the Tunnel of Love, and came back the next day with the drone to explore it further. The mangrove canopy here completely occludes our little dinghy, and at one point I became disoriented with the drone and couldn't figure out where we were. We've talked about the importance of mangroves before, but it's worth mentioning again. Like coral reefs, they are nurseries, providing security and food for young fish while they mature. Humans benefit from their presence too, as they're excellent at absorbing wave energy and curtail coastal erosion. And anyway, those points aside, they are remarkable plants in their own right. So I think, given the chance, they should be left in place rather than cleared for development. Like the mangroves of Linton Bay, my hair is also becoming a bit of a marvel in the natural world. My beautiful hair. All the ladies come running for it. It's the only thing that tells people I'm a sailor, though.
You think so?
I think so. This and this is what tells people I'm on a boat. It was time to do something about that. Yeah, let's see how this ends up. But you have to look at it if you fuck it up.
I know.
Sorry, you have to look at it if you mess it up. So I put my faith in Nushta's hands, and together we made Tarka a little lighter. As Nushta will attest to, having long hair on a boat is high maintenance and consumes a lot of water. Plus, we'll need to have some semi-professional interactions with the canal authorities soon enough.
This is terrible. All better.
Yeah.
Eventually, it was time to go, and we hoisted up the anchor to set out to somewhere completely different.
Am I still alive?
You're still a white person.
Yeah.
We are headed to the Panama Canal, but first we wanted to check out the Chagres River, which exits near the Atlantic entrance to the Panama Canal. Slowly, as we inched closer to the Panama Canal, our AIS began to show more and more ships. Well, our AIS is lit up with boats, because I think we're approaching the anchorage over here near Cologne at the entrance of the Panama Canal. So it looks like we get to play a game of dodge boat, and we'll do our best not to hit anything. Ooh, what's that? Even on our multi-day passages in the Caribbean, we usually only see one ship in a day, if any at all. Seeing so many ships so close together was a bit intimidating. To them, if they even see us at all, we are just a speck of white on a vast blue sea. Sometimes it isn't clear which ships are maneuvering and which ones are anchored, so we treated each and every one with a wary eye, and kept an eye on our AIS for collision alarms. In the midst of the anchorage, we were joined by one lone dolphin that was maybe happy to see a little boat we could play with, instead of one of those big giants. Big ones, too. To be honest, our dolphin friend actually kind of distracted us a bit as Tarka sailed on. I gotta go dry.
Dry?
That ship is moving. Entering the mouth of the Chagres River has to be done pretty carefully, as there is a large reef on one side and a very shallow water on the other. So we opted to motor our way in. But once we were in the river, navigation is easy, as it is deep all the way up to its banks, and we even had a breeze behind us, so we decided to sail up the river a bit.
Yeah, George's sailing into the river.
To be sailing up a river was such a unique experience, and unlike anything we've done on Tarka, and we couldn't resist the temptation to get the drone out. The Chagres River is wide and brackish, cutting through dense protected rainforest. At the riverbanks, the canopy towers well above 50 feet, and is host to an astonishing variety of life that we hope to become better acquainted with our time here.
Good job.
We anchored about 4 miles up the river at a bend and an entrance to a small stream leading from the main branch, and we hope to explore it later by dinghy.
Let's sing it. Crocodile.
See a crocodile in the trees? A few hours later, our friends on Perception appeared from around the corner to join us here. As far as we know, we're the only 2 boats on this entire river. Did you hear the monkeys just now?
Oh, there's a fishing line.
Oh no. Oh shit.
You want to go back around, Meg?
Oh my god. Okay, I should see if it's caught on something here. Being on a river is unlike any other experience we've had on Tarka in almost every sense. On the practical side of things, there is no swell or waves of any sort to contend with, and the wind and current are most likely to flow along the length of the river, making anchoring decisions pretty simple. On the other hand, we have heard of boats being washed miles downriver during the rainy season, but luckily it's still the dry season. The other way this place is special is that we're deep within pristine rainforest here, and the only sound are those of nature. The calls of birds rule the soundscape, like the unusual ribbiting of the toucan. Or the unmistakable squawking of the very social parrots. But howler monkeys are by far the loudest creature amongst the canopy, and can be heard for many miles. More often we'll hear the monkeys than we'll see them. But they do spend a lot of time by the riverbanks, too. But staying high up in the trees is probably in their best interest. There are actually big predators in the canopy too, like jaguars, but being as quiet as they are, there's no chance that we'll ever see one. Life here is peaceful, and the only humans we've seen so far are our friends on Perception. It may not be everyone's idea of paradise, but we are finding happiness here amongst nature. It makes me kind of wonder what an unspoiled pre-human world might be like. Maybe like this, but everywhere. We want to do a ton of exploring here along the river and its tributaries, in search of crocodiles and other wildlife. We will also try to hack our way through the jungle and see what we can find on foot. But for now, I think we're just going to kick back and enjoy the view.